I just thought of an incredibly messed up concept to pull on my players. It's again inspired from Rick and Morty, just watch. This concept for your campaign. All of your players are effectively fighting against themselves, clones of themselves, different variations or variants of themselves all the time. Literally, that's all they're fighting, is just different versions, different copies, different things of themselves. How would they roleplay that? How would they come to terms with that? And would some of these other variants somehow gain more sentience or try to replace them? You know what I mean? That's a mind job. Adventure inspiration time. You're driving along and you see this. Now, logic would dictate that these are simply wave breakers for the coastline. But there's an old creepy lore historian in town, and they tell you that this road was built upon an ancient and powerful weapon. Unique character concept. A character that suffers not from split personality, but from a split head. No, I mean not like literally one head split into two, they just have two heads. There's a saying that two heads are better than one, but when the gods created this Dragonborn, they meant that literally. This Dragonborn suffers from polycephaly, which is a characteristic that often happens in reptiles. Unfortunately for this individual, or individuals, they both have very different ideas about what they want to do with their life. One is a fighter, and the other is a sorcerer. But honestly, you can choose really any two opposing classes. When the character decides to level up, they need to choose which one goes first, and they always make it even. Sure, they might have advantage on perception checks as well as against being charmed or frightened, but their two warring personalities could cause other issues. Not all too much different from a troll, but when the combat is on the line, they generally can get along. These differences can be very small or very large. You could even have one person try to play it, or two people both play the same character. But let's not even discuss what's going on with this monstrosity. For your consideration, the double-headed Dragonborn. Hi, D&D TikTok. So I've been making monster stat blocks for a while. I'm pretty well versed in the conditions as well as the damage types in 5e. But I got a question for you other monster creators out there. Now, the condition of being poisoned is drastically different than simply taking poison damage. So generally, when I'm making a monster and I give it immunity to the condition of being poisoned, does that also play into it being immune to poison damage? Basically asking, are the two mutually exclusive? Here, let's take a look in the book. Alright, boom. Poisoned condition. Creature has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. And flip the page over, first try. Okay, so poison. Venomous stings and the toxic gas of a green dragon's breath deal poison damage. So again, if you're going to give a creature immunity to either poison damage or the condition of being poisoned, should they be immune to both? Can you justify them being mutually exclusive? Let me know. Here's a very rough and impromptu guide on sizes in D&D. The colossal size category is 64 feet or taller, and this water tower is over 70. Yikes. Gargantuan is between 32 and 64 feet tall, or like this tree, which is taller than my house. Any homes would be considered huge, which is between 16 and 32 feet tall, or this medium-sized tree. Large is between 8 and 16 feet tall. This stop sign is about 10 feet. Medium is between 4 and 8 feet tall. I'm about 5'11", right in the middle. Small is between 2 and 4 feet, or a fire hydrant. And tiny is between 1 and 2 feet tall, or like an animal. Yes. D&D TikTok, I think most of you remember my previous video talking about poison and poison condition, right? Here it is right here for those of you who are interested and want to go back. But I want to talk about fire damage and how come there's no burned or burning condition. Now, sure, certainly you can apply a fire damage over time, or a damage over time. But there's nothing official in the player's handbook that says a burned or burning status where you are continually taking fire or burned damage, much like you would poison damage over time. So again, page 196 in the player's handbook, you got fire damage. Red dragons breathe fire, and many spells conjure flames, deal fire damage. Flip on over to the conditions. All right, first try. There is no burned or burning status condition. I mean, if a character takes massive fire damage and has second or third degree burns over their body, that would certainly impose disadvantage. You know, that amount of pain could certainly cause disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks, sure. So could a character get a poison condition from fire damage? Let's discuss. Oh man, this is going to open up a can of worms. What are your thoughts on a monster who can fly about it being knocked prone? Now, there's several different kinds of creatures that can fly that can be knocked prone. For example, boom, ancient red dragon, not immune to the condition of being knocked prone. Probably because it has legs. Same thing with all the other dragons and the weaker varieties. Even various flying demons in Aarakocra can be knocked prone. So let's find some examples of things that can fly but can't be knocked prone. Things like shadow demons, or even air elementals. So those last two obviously have no legs, so you can't run up to them with an axe and just hack at their knee and boom, they're knocked prone. But creatures like dragons and the demons that have legs and such do. So if a creature has wings and has legs and it's not immune to the condition of being prone and it is knocked prone, can't it go directly from being prone to just flying, like just straight across the ground? Does it need to use half of its movement speed to stand up first and then start flying? What do you think? Adventure inspiration time. Maybe your adventuring party is a bunch of pirates and buccaneers, or maybe they're just exploring the shallow waters off the coasts. Regardless, they find a semi-sunken merchant's vessel used by giants. Now this thing is massive. It's over 3 football fields long and about 50 yards wide. It's obviously been here for decades because it's got foliage growing on it. Now, giants are definitely known for carrying all sorts of magical items. Using this as an environment, what kind of combat encounters would you create? There could be small ambushers here, there could be skirmishers, there could be water-type creatures or beasts or elementals around. This also opens up the possibility that they're going to have to deal with underwater combat, as well as managing their breathing and exploring the underground water-filled chambers.
I like your funny words, Magic Man!